So the last time, if I remember correctly, so the last time we were doing, basically we ended up finishing this time multiplexing design. I think this was the design LED time multiplexing design. Okay, so last time we did time multiplexing, and after the time multiplexing, we designed BCD to 7-segment decoder, and after that we had exam, midterm exam, and after the midterm exam, due to COVID holidays, for 3 days university was closed, so we couldn't take our class. Okay, so I hope you remember the previous content because today's lecture is basically building upon the previous content. So if we know the previous content well, then it will help us to understand today's contents very easily. So as I move towards my today's lecture, so you can pause me, you can give a shout if my voice is not hearable, it's not audible, and if there is any problem, you can give me a shout, or you can ask me any question in between. Okay. Okay, so in today's class we are going to talk about finite state machines. When we were starting, if you remember, when we were starting sequential circuit design, I told you that every sequential circuit can be considered a finite state machine, and every sequential circuit can be designed using framework of finite state machine. Finite state machine is basically a design framework. So using that design framework, we can design any sequential circuit. And basically, when we talk about the finite state machines, and so what is the definition of finite state machine? As the name suggests, if any system which has finite number of states is called finite state machine. So what does it mean by finite number of states? You can see here it is also written here, finite number of internal states. So finite number of state means if there is a system which moves from one state to another state. Let's take an example. Let's take an example of a counter. So if there is a 2-bit counter, it goes from 0 to 1. So the 0 is a one state and 1 is another state. And then it goes from 1 to 2. So again, the 2 is another state. And then it goes from 2 to 3, and 3 is another different state. So, and then it comes back to 0. So 0 is a previous state. 0 is not a new state. So how many states are there? In 2-bit counter, there are 4 number of states. So here, every circuit you take in digital circuits, in digital design, every sequential circuit you take, it would have some finite number of states. There cannot be infinite number of states because computers cannot run infinite number of states or infinite possibilities. Computer can only run finite possibilities. So any system which has got finite number of states is called finite state machine. Okay, so when we talk about states, so there are 3 more nomenclatures for states. One is called current state, other is called next state, other is called output state. Okay. So what is current state? Current state, whatever the present state of the system is called current state. Like if you talk about the counter, When counter reaches to 2, 2 is the current state. When counter reaches to 3, 3 is the current state. Then another term is called next state. So what is the next state? Next state is the state which is supposed to come next. Like if it starts from 0, then 1 is the next state, 2 is not the next state, or 3 is not the next state. So it goes from 0 to 1. So when current state is 0, the next state will always be 1. If current state is 1, then next state will always be true. So okay, so you got the idea about the current state and the next state, right? And there are two other things. There's one thing is called output and other thing is called input. Okay, so when we talk about the finite state machines, there are basically three parts. Okay, so one is the part which generates the next state. Okay, this is the part which creates the next state. So in terms of if you talk about the counter example, this part basically increments the current state to generate a new state. If current state is 0, then it adds 1 to the current state and creates a new state which is 1. Okay. Another part is accountable for the storage of the current state. Okay, this is utilized for the generation of the next state, and this is utilized. This is flip-flop. This is responsible for the storage of the current state or the present state. Okay, and then there is a output logic. So there are two kinds of output logic. It depends upon the which kind of machine we are using. Okay, if we are using milli machine, one is called milli machine. If we are using milli machine, then we will be following this methodology, this milli methodology. If we are using Moore machine, then we'll be using Moore methodology. Okay, so we are going to also explain what is the difference between Mealy and what is the difference between Moore machine. Okay, so right now we have to understand that every finite state machine has three parts. One part is involved with creating next state, another part which is involved with storing the current state, and there is another part which is involved with the output logic, which is basically generates the output. Using the current state, it generates the output. Okay, so first of all, we have to remember this diagram. This diagram is very, very important. So once we got the idea of the diagram, then we will discuss what is the difference between Mealy and Moore. Okay, in the Moore finite state machine, in Mealy finite state machine, your output basically depends on the two things. You can see from this diagram, this is the output, and it basically depends upon this one thing which goes back to input. Okay, so it output basically depends upon the current input, and output also depends upon the current state, right? So we are extracting from this diagram. This information is being extracted from the diagram. So output logic in Mealy basically is the subject of input and present state and current state. Okay, so it is a function of current input and current state. Okay, but when you talk about the Moore output logic or Moore finite state machine, output only depends upon the current state. So current state basically drives the output rather than both current state and input. In the case of Mealy, both current state and the input drives the output, but here only current state drives the output. So that's the difference between Moore finite state machine and Mealy finite state machine. Okay. Okay, so once we have got the idea what is finite state machine diagram and what is the difference between Mealy finite state machine and Moore finite state machine, Then we will talk about the representation of finite state machines, how we represent finite state machine. Finite state machines are represented using two things. One is called state diagram, other is called ASM chart. Okay, what is the state diagram? A state diagram basically is composed of nodes. Okay, you can call it nodes or you can call it bubbles. Okay, and there are some transitional arcs which shows when we move from one state to another state. Okay, so let me talk about this one. Okay, so this is one example of finite state machine, and this is the state diagram where these are the nodes and these are the transitional arcs. Okay, these arcs are basically showing what will happen if this is the current state and this is the input, then what will happen. Okay, and this is another way of representing finite state machine, and this is called algorithm state machine. Okay, algorithm state machine chart. Okay, that one is called ASM chart. So there are two methods. One method is called ASM chart, other method is called state diagram. So currently we will be using a state diagram to represent the machines. Okay, so there will be subtle difference in a state diagram for Mealy machine and Moore machine. Okay, so there will be a subtle difference because there's a difference in methodology. What is the difference in methodology? Mealy depends both on the current state and the current input, but Moore depends on only on the current state. Okay, so this is it. So this is how the finite state machine is represented. Okay, so now let's go to the finite state machine code development. How we write a code when we talk about finite state machine. Okay, so as I told you before that every finite state machine can be divided into three parts. So out of which two parts are combinational circuits. So next state logic is a combinational circuit, and this output logic is also a combinational circuit. Okay, so and the third part is a sequential circuit, which is D flip-flop. Okay, that is called current state logic. So this is current state logic, this is next state logic, and this is the output logic. So one way, there are many methods, there are many implementation methodologies to convert your state diagram, your finite state machine state diagram into a Verilog code. Okay, so the simplest method is, I'm talking about the simplest method. Simplest method is, let's have three always blocks. First always block for the next state logic, second always block for the current state logic, and third always block for the output logic. Why? Because as you remember, the always block can design both combinational circuits and sequential circuits. So always block can design combinational circuit, this part, and always block can design this part also. So three always blocks, any finite state machine can be designed using three always blocks. Okay, so this is the simplest methodology. What are the variations in methodology? So variations could be, for example, next state logic and output logic can be combined together, can be merged together. Sometimes it is when things are very, very simple, we basically combine next state logic and Mealy logic. Okay, but it's not always the case. It depends upon the machine. If machine is so simple, you can combine, you can have a two always block design. Okay, and another methodology variation is that sometimes this combinational block is designed using data flow modeling, because the combinational circuit can be designed using data flow modeling, and this part is also can be designed using data flow modeling. So this is another variation. So it depends upon the designer and its style, which variation he wants to use. Okay. So before going into coding, I want to discuss more about state diagram. Okay, because the state diagram is very important part of this. Understanding this diagram and having ability to convert your example into a state diagram is basically solves half the problem. If you can convert your design into a state diagram, then just writing a code is just like a 20% or 30% of the design. So major part of the design is turning your design into a state diagram. So understanding state diagram is very important. Okay, so I told you, so these are the nodes, and these nodes, number of nodes basically determine the number of states. So this S naught is a 0 state, this S1 is a second state, this S2 is a third state. So first state, second state, third state, but the terminology starts from S0, S1 and S2. Okay, and and when the what are the transition arcs are showing, these are called arcs. Okay, the transitional arcs. It says that when A is basically is complemented then you are not supposed to change the state. When the arrow is going back into the same node, it basically shows that when A is complemented, there's a no change in the state. Okay. Okay. So, and the second part, when A is 0 and B is complemented, like for example, this is the condition, then it will change from this state to another state. But if A is again back to 1, means it is high, it will go back to the 0 state. But A is again complemented, it will keep into the same state. Okay, but if A and B both are 1, then it will go to the SS. This is just okay. So don't try to understand the logic behind A and B. What are these showing? Because this is just hypothetical finite state machine. So just understand when some inputs are changing, some A and B are inputs. So when inputs are changing, since at some conditions, transitions are being happening, and some conditions there are no transitions. Okay, it depends upon the machine. Okay, and then this is the state. Okay, so one thing I want to tell you here is that, for example, okay, this is the right example to understand. Okay, so before that, I also told you there is a slight difference between Moore finite state machine state diagram and Mealy finite state machine state diagram. Okay, because this is a mix of both. This is also Moore state diagram, and this is also Mealy finite state machine diagram. Okay, so I'm going to take you to some example which will help you to understand. Okay, so what is the example? Example is age detector based on a Moore machine. So this is the Moore machine state diagram, and what is the design? Design is age detector. And what is the age detector? Age detector is basically detects where is the positive age of the clock. Okay, so let's say this is the tick and this is the error tick. So this is basically a positive age detector. So this is where positive age is coming. So when this positive age is coming, so when this positive edge is coming, this tick is highlighted. Okay, so then when another positive edge is coming, it's going to 0. Okay, so it's basically a edge detector. Okay, and state is 0 when either your values are 0 or 1. Okay, so for example, This is the clock signal. Okay. And this is the signal where we want to detect the edge. Okay. So this is the signal. Level is the another signal where we want to detect the edge. Okay. So this is the edge, this positive edge where we want to, which we want to detect. Okay. So right now we are at the zero state. Okay. So whenever the edge is coming, whenever this edge is coming, so then at the positive edge of the clock, it is converted into, it jumps into edge state. So Moore state machine jumps into edge state, and it jumps to edge state. It also generates an output signal, which basically shows edge is detected, right? And then on the second edge of the clock, then we will see there's a no edge right here. This is just positive level. This is not edge. So when there is the level, there is a not edge. It jumps into one state. And at the one state, the stick is again goes back to zero, because the stick only shows there's a positive edge. Okay, so there's a no edge here. This is level, this is level. This is the only part where there is a edge. Okay, so this is part of the diagram. This is timing diagram for the Moore state machine. So let's talk about a state diagram of the edge detector. Okay, so here you go. So this is the zero state, this is the edge state, and this is the one state. When we are when the signal is level zero, then we will stay in this state. When the edge is detected, means I'm talking about positive edge. Okay, then it jumps to here, and when it is one is detected, one level is detected, it jumps to one. Okay, so let's start from zero. Let's assume we are at this state. At this state means we are talking about this zero. Okay, level value is zero. Okay, so at the level zero, there can be two possibilities. Either level is complemented. Complemented means zero. If level keeps on coming zero, there is a no need to change the state. Okay, because this is zero state, and if it again next value is also zero, then we do not need to change the state. Okay, but if level is one, this is complemented, this is not complemented. If this level is one, definitely it will jump to edge state. Why it will jump to edge state? Because when you go from 0 to 1, your positive edge occurs. So you jump from 0 to edge state. So when you are at the edge state, you also generate a tick signal to notify that edge has been detected, right? So when you are at the edge state, and then again it is 0, then you go back to 0 state. Okay, but if again it keeps on coming 1, then you jump to 1 state. So if you are at a 1 state and then level keeps on coming 1, then you keep on the same state. But if level goes back to 0, then you go back to 0 state. Okay, so this is another important point to understand here, is that you see the output. So 0 is a state, edge is a state, 1 is a state, this level is an input, and this tick is a output. I'm repeating, this edge is a state, this 0 is a state, this 1 is a state. Okay, and this level signals are input signals, and this tick signal is a output signal. So you can see that, so the tick is basically defined inside the state. Okay, tick is defined inside the bubble or inside the node. So basically what it determines that, or what it notifies that, is that the output depends only on the current state. Okay, this transaction basically notifies the input. So your output is not depending on the input. Output is only depending upon the state. So when you are at this state, there is a no tick signal. There's a no tick signal, but when you are here, your tick signal is 1. Okay, so it basically, because because I showed you this is Moore state machine, and the Moore state machine, you can see that your Moore state machine only depends upon the current state, and current state is denoted by the node. Okay, so that's why it is defined inside the bubble. Okay, so this is the diagram. Okay, so I will ask you if you have any question, then let's clear this idea before going into the coding, because coding is very simple. So first of all, the important thing is to understand this diagram, this methodology, and this timing. Okay, so you are open to ask questions right now.
Sir, I have a question. The question is that why the output tick is not defined in like the first and the third bubble, मतलब 0 और 1 वाले
Yes.
bubble में क्यों नहीं define हुआ?
Yes, it's a good question. It's not defined. Basically, it is. I think it is assuming it is 0.
Okay,
Yeah,
sir.
we are assuming it is 0. Okay, but in coding we will define. We will coding.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Any question? You are clear about the Moore and Mealy finite state machine? Okay, I think I assume that everybody got the idea. Let's go to the code development. Okay, so the code development, let's talk about the code development. So how can we convert this diagram? Let's say this is the diagram, and we need to convert this diagram into FSM code. So I had told you, so every finite state machine can be converted into, in terms of Verilog, it will be converted into 3 always blocks. One always block for the current state logic, and one always block for the next state logic, one always block for the output logic. So before these 3 blocks, we also need to define the, we also need to encode these states. Okay, it is called state encoding. So when we need to perform state encoding, there are different options for state encoding. Okay, for example, there are 3 states, and if you use binary encoding, then 2 bits are fine. Using 2 bits, you can denote 3 states. Like this example, there are 3 states: S0, S1, S2, and 00. If 00 is if 0 state is encoded at 00. If second state, matlab S1 is encoded at 01, if S2 is encoded 10, then it is obvious that two bits are enough. This is called binary encoding. Okay, but there is another encoding which is called one hot encoding. In one hot encoding, for example, we are talking about S0. Then if there are 3 states, we will use 3 bits. So for S0, first bit will be high, rest of the bits will be 0. And the S1, second bit will be high, rest of the bits will be 0. And in the S2, MSB will be high and rest of the bits will be 0. This is called one hot encoding. Okay, so this is also written here, one hot encoding. Okay, so we are not going to discuss what is the advantage of one hot encoding and binary encoding. Usually binary encoding is enough, because binary encoding takes less number of bits as compared to one hot encoding. So it depends upon the designer which they use. Okay, let's talk about general structure. Okay, so what is the general structure? You can see that first of all, it is ports definition, and then there is this state encoding. Okay, this is the second part. In the third part, we define the internal variables. What are the internal variables? Internal variable is state register and current state register and next state register. Okay, so for example, this one is next state register and this is current state register. These are internal registers we need to define, and their size will be same as the number of states. Okay, so number of states, if number of states 3, we need 2 bits. So 2 bit register for the state, 2 bits, state reg, 2 bits for the next state. Okay. So in the fourth part, we will define the current state logic. So current state logic is same as we have been doing, we have been designing D flip-flop. There's no difference here. Okay. And fifth part is next state logic. In the next state logic, you can use case statement. And using case statement, you say if this is the state, okay, and you start with star, and in the case you put state register, okay, in the case condition, and here you put different kind of states, for example, S0, S1 and S2, okay, and within the S0 you define some logic. You say if A is equal to high and if B is equal to high, then state next is equal to S2, then next state will be equal to S2, otherwise it will remain S1. Okay, so what we are basically doing here, we are basically convert this state diagram into a code. This state diagram says that if you are at the S0 state, and if your A is high, if B is high, if your A is high, if B is high, both are high, then your next state will be S2. Okay, so if A is high, B is high, your next state will be S2. Okay, otherwise, else your next state will be S1. Okay, in other case, your next state will be S1. Okay, in other case means if any of the case, then A is equal to 1 and B is equal to 1. Okay, and then there is a condition for the else state S1, else state S0. Okay, if you are in the S1 state, there is a different kind of logic, and you are in the S2 state, there's a different kind of. This is the I'm just telling this as a construction. What is the construction of next state logic? And then there is a output logic. Here output logic is defined using data flow modeling. Okay, this is Moore output logic and this is Mealy output logic. Okay, so I'm directly going to the example, which is best thing to understand. So let's talk about positive edge detector, and this is the design. So let's convert this design into finite state machine code. So how many states? 3 states. Okay, so let me go into the 126. Okay, here you go. It starts from here. So what are the inputs? Clock, reset, and there is the input level. Level is the signal whose level we want to detect. Okay, and tick is the signal which basically signifies if positive edge is detected, right? Okay, so this part is for the encoding, state encoding. There are 3 states: 0 state, edge state, and 1 state. So 0 0 for the 0 state, 0 1 for the edge state, and 1 0 for the 1 state. And some internal variables, 2-bit internal variable state, range state next same, and then there is a state register, same code, no difference, and then there is a next state logic and output logic. So in this case, next state logic and output logic are combined. We will see how this has been combined. So another always block. Okay, so begin, end. So what we are doing here, we are saying the state next is equal to state register. Okay, if there is a no any condition, matlab, if there is a default condition, if there's a nothing is happening here, then what is the default condition? Default condition is your next state will be current state. Okay, so this is the current state. Current state will be assigned to the next state. Okay, so your next state will be same as the current state. There will be no change, and default value of the tick will be 0. Okay, in any case, then when tick is not defined explicitly, then tick will be 0. As you are asking the question, then why it is not defined? Tick is not defined. So it says that tick will be by default 0, otherwise until and otherwise it is explicitly defined. Okay, otherwise it will be 0. Okay, so case, and inside the case there will be current state register, and and in the first state, we'll say if level is equal to high, if level is equal to 1, because we are assuming we are at the 0 state. And when we are at the 0 state, and if level is jumping to 1, then definitely positive edge will come. And when the positive edge will come, we will say state next will be edge. So we will jump to the next state, and next state is edge state. Okay. So when we are inside the edge state, we will say tick is equal to 1. So the first thing we do, we generate the output tick and we notify that edge has been detected. And then we check. Then we check if level is equal to high, means it was already high, but if it is again high, then next state will be is equal to 1s. Otherwise, if it is 0, then jump back to the 0 state. So this is nothing but simply we are converting this logic into a code. Okay. Okay, so once we are in the 1 state, then we will check if level is high or not. If level is 0, then we'll jump to the 0 state. Otherwise, we'll go to the will remain in the same state. So what is the default state? Default state is equal to 0 state. Okay. So then end case and here. Okay, so what is it? Something which is slightly different here. We have combined the output logic and next state logic here. Where is the, what is the part where output logic is combined here? So this is the part where output logic combined. Okay, so this is the part where output logic is defined. Tick is equal to 1 and tick is equal to 0. These both statements are defined for the output logic. Because the output logic is so simple, so we do not need to have a separate always block. So we can combine input logic and output logic inside a single always block. Okay, so any question on the coding before we move to the Vivado?
No, sir. Clear.
Clear. Okay, so let's go to Vivado and try to design this, try to implement on Vivado. Okay, so let me change my screen to Vivado. Okay, and create a new project. Finite state machine, edge detector. Okay, so here you go. Create a project, select any board because we are not doing any hardware. Okay, so make sure you have a diagram in front of you because I'll be looking at the diagram you can't see because I'll be switching between my book and between the Vivado. You can see the Vivado, but you can't see the book. So you make sure you have this diagram open somewhere. Okay. Okay, so there are 3 states. So let's create a project, create a file, edge detector. So we are basically right now we are designing the code for the boot finite state machine. Okay, so there will be slightly difference between the coding also. Okay. Okay, so what will be the ports? The ports will be clock, reset, very important ports, and there is a signal level whose edge we want to detect, and when the edge is detected, we want to generate a tick. Okay, tick is basically showing that edge has been detected, nothing else. Okay, so what are the size of this? Will be so size will be input, clock will be single bit, reset will be single bit, level will be single bit, and output will also be different. So if we are doing it in the always block, then we'll keep it rate, and it is also a single bit. Okay, so this is the first thing. Second thing is state encoding, right? So in state encoding, we are using, let's say, binary encoding. So let's say I'm naming states. I can use local parameter, or I can use simple range. Okay, it's the same thing. It's not a big deal. So range, what will be the size I need, because there are three states. I need 2 bits when I'm using binary encoding. So 1 to 0. So if I name, so one state is called 0 state, okay, and other state is called 0 0, okay, and another state is called age state. Okay, so I have to change because age is, I think, age is a keyword. Okay, so I have to change it a little bit. Okay, so 1. 0 state, 1 state, age state. Okay, so let me put comment. 0 state. Age state. Okay, so 1 state. So state encoding is done. Let me put this one. State encoding is done. And then internal registers. Internal registers. What are the internal registers? Again, internal register will have the same size, 2 bit, whatever the size of coding is, and what are the name. One name we always put a state range, and then is next state next. Okay. So these are the registers. So once this is done, so now we need to define current state logic. Current state logic is saying that we need always block, and within the always block, post age block and post age reset. Okay, so begin end. If reset is high, then state range will be equal to 0, else state range is equal to state next. Okay, so this is the logic. When it is reset system, that will be, otherwise your next state will be assigned to the current state. Okay. Okay, so now let's design. I'm going to design 3 modules. Okay, so just to keep things simple, I will design 3 separate blocks, always blocks. Okay, so this is input block. So not in the next state block, next state logic. Next state start sign, because the combinational circuit, begin and okay, so I will keep it very, very simple. So case, and the case register will be state register, state. Okay, and what is the first state? The first state is a 0 state. Okay, so let's say this is a 0 state. So we are inside the 0 state, and let's take a value. And if now within the zero state, if level is equal to 1, then if level is equal to 1, then next state will be state next is equal to 8. So 0 is okay. So if we are at the zero state and then value of the level is high, then we will jump to the edge state. Okay. Otherwise state next is equal to state range. Okay. Otherwise, sorry, state next is equal to 0. Means you do not change the state. If level is equal to 1, you move to the edge state. Otherwise, you remain the same state because you are currently at the 0 state, and then your next state will also be 0 state. So no change in this state. Okay. So I'm also putting the comment. Next state is edge, and no change. Okay. So this is for the 0. Some indentation. Okay. So here you go. Another state is edge. So once the edge, within the edge, you want to check value of level. Okay. So if level is high, then you move to the state next is equal to 1. Okay, state next is equal to 1. Otherwise, else, if level is equal to 1, you move to the 1 state. If level goes back to 0, okay, so then you go to the 0 state. Zero state, right? Okay, so final state. So you know that I'm not defining any output here. I'm just changing the next state. I'm just defining the next state logic. Okay, and the final state is 1 state. Okay, so 1 state. And say if we are at 1 and again there is a 1, then no need to change the state. Okay, then same will be state next will be equal to 1. Okay, so there will be no change. Otherwise, else, if you are at 1 and then level is become 0, then you will move to the 0 state. Right? Okay, this whole logic is done now. This logic is done now. Let me check what is the error here. Why I have written all this block?
सर इनमें इधर एक नदी नोट होगा.
सही. Thank you. ठीक है. So syntax some
Sir, line 61 to 0 dash.
line 61 0 6 underscore सही. Okay.
सर एंड केस भी लिखा दास नहीं लास्ट में.
end case लिखा था. Why I'm missing part of things. Okay, now must be fine. Now it must be fine. Okay, so next state is done. Now let's define output logic. Output logic is very simple. Output logic is that then if you are at the 0 state, our tick will be 0. If you are at the edge state, tick will be 1. If you are at the 1 state, tick will be 0. Okay, so same always block for the combinational, always at the rate and then star and then begin, and so case state range. Okay, and then end case, let's write because otherwise we'll forget that. Okay, so what are the number of states? So there are 3 states, 0, and there is a edge state, and there is a 1 state. Okay, so what will be the output in this state? Output will be tick is equal to 0, and here tick will be equal to 1, and here tick will be equal to 0. Okay, so here I'm not combining output logic and next state logic. I'm having a different always block for each. Okay, so it's very simple. So now the design has been completed. So there are 3 parts: current state logic, next state logic, and then output logic. Okay, now let's design some test bench. So I'm going to design test bench inside the same V file just to keep things simple. Okay, so what are the inputs? Inputs will become rich. Okay. And output will become wire. Then let's do some instantiation. Once the instantiation is done, then let's create some clock signal, because what are the inputs? One is clock, other one is the reset, other one is level. So first of all, generate a clock. Okay, so simplest way to generate a clock: initial clock is equal to 0, and then always and some delay, and then clock is equal to toggle the clock. Okay, so this clock is created. Now we need to, first of all, we need to reset the system, and once the system is reset, then once the system is reset, then we have to apply some level signal. Okay, so we shall begin. So it is positive edge reset system. So in order to do the generate the positive edge, first of all, let's put 0 and then wait for the negative edge. At the negative edge of the clock, then keep it 1. So when it goes from 0 to 1, it will reset the system. So once the system is reset, then at the next edge of the clock, let's unreset the system. Okay, so now the system is unreset. Okay, system is reset here. Okay, so reset the system and unreset the system. Okay, the system is unreset. Now let's generate the level signal. So because we want to detect the positive edge, so first of all, for few clock cycles, for let's say 2 clock cycles, generate a 0 signal. Okay, so starting from negative edge of the clock. Okay, let's put level is equal to 0, and let's wait for the 2 3 clock cycles, let's say, and okay, after 3 clock cycles, let's change the level from 0 to 1. So when it is changed, it changes from 0 to 1, then definitely there will be a positive edge. Okay, and then after 3 clock cycles, let's again change the level to 0. Right? Good. Okay, so let's again, after 3 clock cycles, let's again do this activity, then generate another positive edge. Okay, so there will be 2 positive edges right now, okay, and 1 negative edge, 2 positive edges. Okay, and then let's finish the simulation. Okay, let's stop the simulation or finish the simulation. Okay, so I think everything is all right. So look at here. There's a no errors, no critical warnings. Okay, so let's run the simulation. Okay, so this is reset. First of all, look at the reset. So here we generated the reset signal. So once the reset signal is generated, your output is also reset. Okay, so the output is reset here. Okay, so here after that system is unreset, and once the system is unreset, on the next edge of the clock we generated level signal. So level signal was 0 0 0 0 0, and then we generated 1. Okay, so from here to here, so this is where the positive edge occurs. So the one here positive edge is detected, and on the next edge of the clock, your your tick signal is generated. Okay, and tick signal basically signifying that there is a positive edge. Okay, but here is a negative edge. There's a no tick signal. Okay, again then there is a positive edge. Then again there is a tick signal. Okay, so this is working successfully. So you can observe the timing diagram and you can ask if you have any question.
सर जब ये 1 स्टेट पे था तो हमने कहा था कि अगर आपका पॉजिटिव एज आएगा लेवल सिग्नल का तो आपका टिक 0 ही रहेगा, तो यहाँ पे टिक 1 हो रहा है।
नहीं, ये नेक्स्ट एज पे 0 हो रहा है। ठीक है, ये इसका बता रहा है कि ये पॉजिटिव एज आ गई है, और बताएगा तब जब आप, क्योंकि ये सिंक्रोनाइज सिस्टम है ना, ये मूर स्टेट मशीन है। मूर स्टेट मशीन है तो पॉजिटिव एज बताया। फिर नेक्स्ट स्टेज में ये बता रहा है कि हम अब 1 स्टेट में चले गए, अब हम एज स्टेट में नहीं है, तो ये वापस आ गया 0 पे।
सही,
ठीक है, अब इसको हम, ये एक सिंपलेस्ट एग्जांपल है फाइनाइट स्टेट मशीन को समझने का। ठीक है, सो ये इसकी फाइनाइट स्टेट मशीन। अगर आप ऐसा करें कि मैं आपको ये, आपके पास सबके पास विवाडो अवेलेबल है अभी?
नो सर।
किसी के पास भी अवेलेबल नहीं है?
सर इस वक्त नहीं है क्योंकि मैं जरा दूसरे शहर आया हुआ था, लेकिन वैसे घर पे है।
अच्छा चलो ठीक है, मैं फिर ये उस पे गिटहब पे अपलोड कर दूंगा कोड्स, तो वहां से आप उठा लेना, ये
ठीक है सर,
प्रैक्टिस कर लेना। ठीक है,
सही है।
ओके। तो
सही।
वापस अब हम चलते हैं किसी अ, किसी दूसरे एग्जांपल को देखते हैं और उसको समझने की कोशिश करते हैं। स्क्रीन, ओके, तो ये हमने डिजाइन देखी है। ये डिजाइन है हमारी मूर स्टेट मशीन की डिजाइन है। ठीक है, और इसका हमने कोड देखा और इसकी टाइमिंग डायग्राम देखी। जैसे इसने यहाँ पे ये टाइमिंग डायग्राम बनाई हुई है, वैसी टाइम डायग्राम हमारी बनी है। ठीक है, हमने लेवल सिग्नल अप्लाई किया, फिर लेवल को 1 किया, फिर इसको 0 किया। फिर जैसे ही हमने 1 किया था तो एज आई थी, तो जैसे क्लॉक आती है तो वहाँ पे वहां पे हमारे यहाँ पे टिक जनरेट हो जाता है, फिर दूसरी एज पे, दूसरी क्लॉक की पॉजिटिव एज पे फिर ये टिक वापस चला जाता है, क्योंकि हम वन स्टेट में चले जाते हैं। ठीक है, ओके। अब आते हैं हम, अगर इसी डिजाइन को मूर मेथोडोलॉजी से हम परफॉर्म करें, इम्प्लीमेंट करें, तो वो कैसे होगा, तो फर्क क्या होगा मूर में और मिली फाइनाइट स्टेट मशीन में। ठीक है, तो समझने के लिए मैं थोड़ा सा फिर वापस जाऊंगा। ठीक है, हम जाते हैं यहाँ पे, इस डायग्राम को देखते हैं कि मूर और मीले फाइनाइट स्टेट मशीन में फर्क क्या है। ठीक है, मूर फाइनाइट स्टेट मशीन का जो आउटपुट है वो डिपेंड करता है करंट स्टेट पे। ठीक है, और सिर्फ करंट स्टेट पे डिपेंड करता है कि भाई अगर करंट स्टेट ये होगी तो आउटपुट ये होगा, अगर करंट स्टेट ये होगी तो आउटपुट ये होगा। ठीक है, जैसे जैसे हमने यहाँ पे देखा कि हमने कहा कि भाई अगर करंट स्टेट जीरो होगी तो आउटपुट भी जीरो होगा, अगर करंट स्टेट एज होगी तो आउटपुट वन होगा, अगर करंट स्टेट वन होगी तो आउटपुट फिर जीरो हो जाएगा। ठीक है, तो किस पे डिपेंड कर रहा है, सिर्फ और सिर्फ करंट स्टेट पे डिपेंड कर रहा है। ठीक है, और यही वजह है कि हमने ये टिक इसके अंदर लिख दिया है। ठीक है, अब आते हैं कि भाई जब हम डिजाइन मेथडोलॉजी हमारी मीले हो तो उसमें क्या है, उसमें आप देख सकते हैं कि योर आउटपुट इज बेसिकली डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द करंट रजिस्टर and also on the input, current input. Okay, so the current input and current state both are defining the output. Okay, so now the things are slightly different. Let's go to the example and try to understand the subtle difference between Mealy and Moore state machine. Okay, so same example and let's understand this one. Okay, so this is the state diagram using state diagram for edge detector using Mealy machine. Okay, so obviously here there are only two number of states. One state is called 0, other state is called 1. Another subtle difference you can see in the state diagram, there's nothing written inside these nodes about the output. So this is just written state 0, state 1, nothing about the output. But if you see at the transition arcs, this is one transition arc. If there is it says that if level is equal to 0, you remain at the same state. If level is equal to 1, you change into a 1 state. But you can see this level, which is the input, is also written here, but there is a oblique, and it is also output value is also defined here along the arcs. So the output is not defined inside here, but output is defined along the arcs. Okay, why is that? Because as we said before, your Mealy output basically depends upon the current state and also depends upon the input. It's not only the current state which is defining the output, it is also current state and also the input which is defining. So what it says that, it says that when your current state is 0 and I'm saying and, okay, current state is 0 and your level is high, then your tick will be high and your next state will be 1. Okay, so here you are not going into state and then changing the output. You are looking at the two conditions. One condition is what is the current state, and then second condition you are checking what is the level. If your current condition is 0, current state is 0 and your level is 1, then definitely you are going from 0 to 1, then edge will be detected. So in this situation you are generating a tick is equal to 1 signal. Okay, and then also changing the state. So here is a 1, and when you are at the 1, if again it is 1, you will keep at the same state. If it becomes 0, then you go back to the 0 state. Okay, so one difference is that there are only two number of states. States had been reduced. So Mealy machine is better in terms of state reduction. Okay, because Moore was using 3 number of states, but Mealy is implementing same design using 2 states. So when you have a less number of states, definitely you will use less number of flip-flops. And when you have a less number of flip-flops, your design will be competitive and your design will be better than the more states design. Okay. Okay, now let's go to the diagram. Okay, so the first things will be same. This thing will be same. This thing will be same. State encoding again, because there are two states, so single bit is enough. 0 bit for the 0 state, 1 bit for the 1 state. So single bit state registers, and then state logic same. Okay, and here you go. So next state logic and output logic is combined here. So the only difference you will see here, this is case state register, and when you are at the 0 state, then you will check the level. So when you have a level is equal to 1, then you define that if you are in the 0 state and then level is equal to 1, then tick will be 1. Okay, and then your state next will also be equal to 1. Okay, so this is the difference between Moore state machine and Mealy state machine. So here you are looking at the current state, and then you are also looking at the level. If level is this, then tick will be generated. Okay, so let me go back to the code of this Moore state machine. Okay, so look at this. Here we are saying that if level is equal to 1, you just change the state. But when you go to the edge state, and when you go to the edge state, you do not check about the level. You do not look at the input. You just know that you are in the edge state. So edge state is a current state. So current state is only enough to define the output. So when you are at the edge state, you directly define tick is equal to 1. But here is not the case. Here you look at, here you can see, you go to the 0 state and then you check the level. And then you define the tick signal. Then if there is a 0 state, if level is 1, and then you can say the tick is 1 and next state is 1. And then you go to 1 state, then say if this is 0, then you go back to the 0 state. Okay. So I think it is clear. Any questions before I move to the coding part?
No, sir, clear.
Okay, that's good. So let me change the screen. Detector. Okay. So what I will do, I will copy same code and just try to amend the code, because there's a slight change. I do not need to write another code. Create edge detector. Mealy. Okay, so Windows sources. Let me disable this one. Okay, so let me change here. Okay, so what will be the differences? These will be same. And here encoding, we just need, because there are two states, we just need single bit. There will be no edge state. Okay, and there will be only 0, only 1, and here also 1, here also 1. Okay, and this also will be a single bit. Right. This part will be same. This part will be same. Okay, so here when I say case state register, let me remove this state. Okay, so if level is equal to high, if I'm in a 0 state, if level goes high, then I will perform two operations. One operation I will perform, I will change the state, and I will also generate the tick signal. So tick is equal to 1 here. Okay, so next stage will be 1. Okay. If it is 0, otherwise it will remain at the same state. Okay, so state next is equal to this one. If okay, so because there are two statements, I have to use begin and end here. Okay, so otherwise same state. When you go to one state, if level is high, you will remain at the same state. If it is 0, you will go to the same states. Okay, so here I need to combine. In this case, I need to combine next state logic and output logic. Okay, because this is a special case where I'm using multi-state machine, so I do not need to generate separate output logic. Okay. So if this is the case, else, okay, so I can define here, I can explicitly, because I like to explain things explicitly. So let me define this also here. Begin. If level is 0, then tick will be 0. Okay, and state will be 0. If level is high, then again tick will be 0, right? Tick will be 0, and then state next will be equal to 1. Okay, there is no need to change the state. Else begin. In this case, also tick will be 0. Okay, and next state will be equal to 0. Okay, let me save it. Okay, so here you go. Let me change the name here. Okay, there's a one mistake. There's a end one missing. Okay, so I think this is fine now. Everything is same. We just change the we just converted Moore code into milli code, and I have explicitly defined what is the if 0 state, if level is high, then tick will be this, otherwise this, otherwise this. Okay, so the only difference is that I'm looking at two things when I'm deciding about the output. Okay, when I'm deciding about the output, I'm looking at the current state, and I'm also looking at the current input, right? Before that, if you look here, if you see here, this is the output logic. Okay, here I'm not looking at the input condition. I'm just looking at the state. If this is the state, output is equal to 0. If this is the state, output is equal to 1. If this is the state, output is equal to 0. Okay. But here these things are different. Here I'm looking at the current state, and I'm also checking the input state, input. So when I'm checking both, then I'm deciding the tick. Same is the case here. Same is the case here. Same is the case here. Why? Because in milli state machines, I'm writing down here. In milli state machine, milli output is function of both current input and current state. Okay, so that's the difference. So let's run the simulation. Okay. So here you go. Almost everything is same. This positive edge is coming, tick is generated. Positive edge is coming, tick is generated. So you will see that there is a one difference between the output of a move and output of a melee. Output of the move was synchronized. You could observe that output was only changing on the next edge of the clock. Next edge of the clock, but here output is not changing in the next edge of the clock. Output is changing instantly when there is a positive edge. So there is a positive edge, output is changed. Positive edge, output is changed. Why is that? Because your output depends both on the input and on the level. In this case, it becomes asynchronized. It becomes asynchronized because it depends upon the input. It doesn't depend only upon the current state. If only depends upon the current state, because current states are changed at positive edge of the clock. But it doesn't only depend upon the current state. It depends upon the current state also at the input. Okay, so that's why the output will be available anytime there's a change in the input. Okay, so that's why it also said that your melee output is a asynchronous output, but your Moore output is a synchronous output. That is the trade-off you have to remember. When you are picking up the melee state machine, you have an advantage of less number of states, but you have a disadvantage of asynchronous, right? Asynchronous output. But when you are picking Moore state machine, you have a disadvantage of more number of state, but you have an advantage of synchronous output. Synchronous output means output which follows the clock. Okay, so that's it. Any question in Mealy design and Mealy diagram?
सर ये मूर का जैसे मीले का हमने देखा कि मतलब एक एडवांटेज है कि स्टेट रिड्यूस कर देता है, तो मूर का मतलब इस हिसाब से कोई एडवांटेज होगा, मतलब कोई ऐसी सिचुएशन जहाँ पे हमारी मूर ज्यादा फायदेमंद हो एज कम्पेयर टू मीले?
हाँ, वो मैंने बताया ना, मूर का फायदा ये है कि मूर सिंक्रोनाइज्ड है, ठीक है। और मिले का फायदा ये है कि मिले की स्टेट्स कम हो जाती हैं, ठीक है। मिले की स्टेट्स जैसे अभी इसमें हमने छोटा सा एग्जांपल देखा कि मूर की 3 स्टेट्स थी और मिले वही काम 2 स्टेट्स में कर रही थी, ठीक है। तो इसमें ये फायदा हो गया क्योंकि जितनी स्टेट्स कम होंगी, जैसे हम कॉम्बिनेशनल लॉजिक बनाते हैं, कॉम्बिनेशनल लॉजिक में हम क्या कम करने की कोशिश करते हैं, हम कहते हैं भाई गेट काउंट हमारा कम हो। तो जितना गेट काउंट कम होगा उसमें पावर कंज्यूम कम होगा, उसकी उतनी स्पीड ज्यादा होगी सर्किट की। तो सीक्वेंशियल सर्किट में हम कहते हैं कि भाई आपकी स्टेट्स कम होनी चाहिए, स्टेट रिडक्शन करते हैं। तो मिली आपकी स्टेट रिडक्शन कर रही है, ठीक है। और मूर आपका एडवांटेज आपको ये दे रहा है कि वो आपको सिंक्रोनाइज्ड आउटपुट दे रहा है और मिली आपको सिंक्रोनाइज नहीं दे रहा। तो ये एक ट्रेड ऑफ है। तो डिपेंड करता है कि आप आगे जाके डिजाइन में कैसे इसको फिक्स करते हैं इस चीज को।
ठीक हो गया,
ठीक है। तो वापस आप डायग्राम देखते हैं हम इसके। तो यहाँ पे अगर मूर का डायग्राम देखें तो मूर का तो सिंक्रोनाइज्ड है, जैसे क्लॉक आ रही है आउटपुट चेंज हो रहा है, ठीक है। और यहाँ पे अगर मीले का देखें तो मीले का सिंक्रोनाइज नहीं है, जैसे ही हमारी लेवल चेंज हो रही है, यहाँ पे लेवल चेंज हुई और यहाँ पे आउटपुट चेंज हो गया, ठीक है। सो इट इज नॉट सिंक्रोनाइज्ड एज कंपेयर टू मूर, ठीक है।
ठीक है सर।
Okay, so let me have a look. What is the next design? No, this is not. So I'll go back to the some designs from the previous thing. Okay. So I will give you a small overview of this design, and I request you to go through design and share me if you have understood the design, or you can verify the design. Okay. So what is the design? So design is FIFO buffer. FIFO, everybody knows that FIFO is first in, first out buffer. As a first in, first out is a storage, which is used between two different systems. When you two systems are having a communication, you need some time of FIFO buffer. So the data can be handled between two systems. Okay, so how it works? It basically says that whatever the data packet which goes inside the memory first, it will come out also first. Okay, that's why it is called first in, first out buffer. So what we can do, we can use Verilog and we can create a FIFO buffer which will have some rules how it will be worked. Okay, so it is called circular queue based implementation of the FIFO. So one way to implement is that circular queue implementation. Okay, so the code is very simple. If you just understand the methodology, the code is again finite state machine based code. There are 3 blocks. There is a current state logic, and then there is a next state logic, and then there is the output logic. Okay, there's the output logic. Okay, so the code is very simple. The basic things to understand is that we need to understand this methodology. Okay, so for example, you have a this is kind of a buffer you have, where there are 8 storage slots, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there are 2 pointers. One is called read pointer and other is called write pointer. So read pointer basically shows where to read, or where from you can read the next. Okay, and write pointer where you can write, where is the next location you can write to. Okay, so initially, in the initial condition, your read pointer is also pointing towards 0, and your writing pointer is also pointing to the 0, because there's nothing written there. So they both are pointing to 0. Okay. So first of all, we have written one packet or 1 byte or 1 word, whatever the size it defines. Okay. So whenever we write, so definitely it will be written to the 0 memory. So when it is written to 0 memory, your reading pointer will remain same, but your writing pointer will be incremented, right? Okay, let's assume we have written 3 more words. Okay, so one is written to 1, 2, and 3. Then your writing pointer again will be denoting or pointing towards 4, because 4 is the next empty location. Definitely writing pointer will point to this one, but your reading pointer will direct to the 0, because 0 is your first writing. 0 location was your first writing. So it is the first in and first out. That's why the first thing you can read is from 0 location. Okay, so this will be writing pointer, and this will be a writing. So this is the reading pointer, and this will be writing pointer. Okay, and D, let's say we are reading one location. So when you read one location, let's say we have read from 0 location. So now 0 location is empty. Okay, and also your reading pointer is incremented, because once 0 location has been read, so now the next location which can be read, that is the 1 location. So after every writing operation, your writing pointer will be incremented, and after every reading operation, your reading pointer will be incremented, right? Okay, so 4 more writes, let's say 4 more writing operations are performed. So 4 will be written, 5 will be written, 6 will be written, 7 will be written. So all locations will be written except 0. So writing pointer will be pointing to 0, reading pointer will be pointing to 1. Once another writing, then all writings have been done. Then your reading pointer will be definitely pointing to 1, and your writing pointer will also be pointing to 1. So you can see that when it is empty, your reading pointer and writing pointer both point towards 0. Sorry, points towards same location. And when you are when there is a no location available, when all the memory is fully written, then your reading pointer, writing pointer also point to the same location. So these two are the special cases where reading and writing pointer point to the same location. One condition is when it is empty, and other condition is when it is completely full. Okay, so let's say 2 more reading operations, your writing pointer will remain to 1 and reading pointer will be incremented. Okay, 5 more reading operation, these all will be evacuated, memory locations will be empty, and your reading pointer will switch to 0, writing pointer to 1. If this is also read, then again your all locations have been read, and then your reading pointer and writing pointer will be pointing towards 1. Okay, so this is the FIFO methodology. This is called circular queue-based methodology of implementation of the FIFO method. So this whole methodology is can be implemented using finite state machine. Okay, so let me give you a little bit idea here. Okay, so this is these are the inputs. So input says that number of bits in a word, there are 8 bits in a word, and then there are 4 address bits. When we talk about 4 address bits, means there will be 16 addresses. Okay, but here we are showing 12, sorry, 8. Here we are showing, but there are in implementation there are 16 locations. So you need clock, you need reset, you need pointer, read pointer, write pointer, and then you have a W data, and then you have a read data, and then you have some control signals for empty and for full. You need to know whether FIFO is empty or FIFO is full. So these signals can be generated accordingly. Okay, so signal declarations. So what will be the signal declarations? Some internal signals declarations. So this is the memory we are creating, like register file. If you remember the register file, we create a 2-dimensional memory. So this is also a 2-dimensional memory, and this is the bit size, and this is the number of words we are creating here, and this is for the W pointer range, and this is W pointer next, and this is W pointer successive. Okay, and this is read pointer, range, next, and successive. Okay. Okay, range, full range, empty range, full next, empty next. Okay, these are the full and empty signals. So they also have a current state and next state. Okay, so let me go into the body. So body is very simple. If it says that if write enable, then you have to perform writing operation. Okay, otherwise you will perform reading operation. It's the same as we did the coding of register file. Okay, otherwise, and then you assign full register. Okay, write enable only when FIFO is not full. Okay, so write enable will be only available when FIFO is not full. So full is complemented. If this is the case, full register is 0, then write enable will be equal to 0. Okay. Okay, so full register is full. If write enable, so let me understand that. So full register is 0, and write write is 1. Okay, so the 0 and 1, the write enable will be activated. Okay, so it basically says that you can't perform any writing operation until unless your register is not full. Okay, so definitely once your FIFO is full, you can't do any writing operation. So you have to make sure so your register is not full before performing writing operation. Okay, so this complement shows not full. When it is not full, then you can perform the writing operation. Okay. So this always block for the for the current state logic. So if reset is equal to 0, then all registers will be 0. Otherwise, their next state will be assigned to the current states, which is W pointer, read pointer, full range, empty range, all these successive. Okay. And then there is a next state logic for read and write pointers. In the next state logic, what we are doing, we are basically incrementing the W pointer, then we are incrementing the read pointer, and these are some control values. Okay, so this is the control value, sorry, default values. So default values are current states. This is current state, this is current state. So here you go. In the case WR and RD, if WR and RD are 0, okay, so if WR and RD are 0, then no operation. Okay, if WR is 0 and this is also 0, then it shows that, and it is non-empty, then 0 will be assigned to the full next, and R pointer successive empty is equal to next. Okay, so it's a reading operation, and this is the writing operation, and this is both reading and writing operation. Okay. Okay, so basically this whole part is a controller part. Okay, and this rest of the part is a memory part. Here we are defining some instructions for the memory controller. So the instructions are that there are two signals. One is WR signal, another is read signal and write signal. So when we say that if both signals are zero signals, sorry, if both signals are zero signals, then will not perform any operation. Okay, and I don't know why it is commented, but otherwise there is no need to comment this one. When zero, this is zero, then this is zero, then you will perform no operation. Okay, but if this is zero, means writing operation is zero and read signal is 1, then you have to perform reading operation. Okay, so in order to perform reading operation, first of all, you have to make sure that your FIFO is not empty. Okay, so once the FIFO is empty, means there's no data to read. So first of all, when you are reading your FIFO, you have to make sure that the FIFO is not empty. So what is the signal which tells us, what is the variable or what is the register which tells us whether FIFO is empty or not, which is called empty range. Okay, if empty range is 0, it means it is not empty. Okay, so if it is not empty, it means it is readable. Okay, so once it is ensured that it is not empty, then what we will do, we will we will basically increment the R pointer. So I told you when we are performing any operation, let's say reading operation, after every reading operation, we have to increment the pointer. So here what we are doing, we are assigning R pointer successive to the R pointer next. So what is R pointer successive? Basically is R pointer range plus 1. So it is basically addition, it is basically an increment in the pointer value. So the pointer value is incremented, and then there is a full next is equal to 0. Okay, so I have to look what is full next 0 signal is, and then we are checking R pointer successive is equal to W pointer range. Okay, it says that if your read pointer and write pointer both are same, both are equivalent to each other, then empty next is equal to 1. Okay, what does it mean? We have to, every time we have to check whether our FIFO is empty or not. Here we are checking, this condition is checking whether a FIFO is empty or not. It says that if your next reading pointer number, which is R pointer successive, let's say it is 4, and current writing pointer is also 4, then if reading pointer and writing pointer, they are both pointing towards same number, it means your FIFO is empty. Then what you do, you generate the empty next signal. Okay, so this is basically this condition. Let's say this condition. If reading pointer is same, writing pointer is same, it means it is empty. So you need to generate empty signal. Okay, so here you are generating empty signal. Okay, so once you are writing, then you have to see that if it is not full. When you are reading, you have to check it is not empty. When you are writing, you have to check it is not full. So full range. Okay, so this is the signal for the telling whether it is full or not. Because whenever you are reading something, definitely you can say that it is not full. Okay, means it is available to write anything. Okay, for example, if you are reading one location, then that location will be empty for writing, for next writing. So then when you are writing, so when you are reading, you can put that signal, full next signal, to 0. So basically you are telling the controller that one location, at least one location is available to write. Okay, so here we are checking if it is not full. No, it is not full. Then W pointer next is equal to, then increment the pointer. So once you increment the pointer, then definitely when you are writing, you can tell that now it is not empty. So definitely if you are writing one operation, then definitely FIFO is not empty. Okay, then you are generating not empty signal. And then you are checking if writing pointer and your reading pointer are same. Okay, this is the condition this is the condition we are checking here. If your writing pointer and reading pointer are same, because we are writing, that's why we have to check whether it is not full. Okay, but when they both are pointing to the same location, it means it is full. Okay, so if writing pointer and reading pointer, they both are pointing to same location, they both are same numbers, then we can say your FIFO is full. Okay, so in case when we have to perform both reading and writing operations simultaneously, okay, then we do not need to generate anything. We just need to do not need to generate these signals. Okay, because we are performing same operation simultaneously, both operations, we need to just increment the counters. So W pointer will be incremented and read pointer will be incremented. Okay, so, and these are the output logic. So full range will be assigned to full and empty range will be assigned to empty. Okay, so sorry for little hiccups. So I think now it must be clear, and also I'm open to any question if you ask any question regarding FIFO.
अरे जे मला रीड एंड राइट वही तो करे हुआ थोड़ा बियर समझाएंगे
जी बाबा केड़ो
सर जे मला रीड एंड राइट भी वही तो मतलब रीड भी करे तो राइट भी करे तो
हाँ ॾिसो फॉर एग्जांपल जेॾी महिल असां सिर्फ़ रीड था कयूं उन में इलाही instructions अची थी वञनि. There are many instructions. Okay, first of all, when we are reading we have to check whether it is empty or not, because if it is empty we can't read definitely. So first we check whether it is empty or not. Okay, so once we have checked it is not empty, then we basically increment the reading pointer. Okay, so first of all, initially reading pointer is 0, then we have to increment to 1, and then we also generate a signal that it is not full. Okay, it is not full, because when we are reading definitely one location will be available to write, so it will not be full. And then we will check whether it is empty or not. Okay, so if your reading pointer, writing pointer both are pointing towards same, then we can say it has been fully read. All the locations have been read, now it is empty. Okay, this is the only case when we are either reading or writing. Then we have to generate these signals: empty next signal, full next signal, or all these kind of signals. But when we are simultaneously performing both, then there is a no chance that it will be empty, and there is a no chance that it will be full. You got it? For example, we are at this location. For example, we are at this location. Okay. And when I'm also writing, when I'm also reading, when I'm writing, then this 0 will be incremented to 1. When I'm reading, this 1 will be pointing towards 2. So at this time, it is not empty and it is not full.
not full. जी sir.
Okay, so in this case, there's no need to generate these extra signals, full next and empty next signals. Only you have to increment the pointer.
Sir. ठीक है sir.
Okay, another also they are in this book. For example, they have used extra variable to increment the current state. Okay, for example, this is the current state of the pointer, right pointer, and they are adding to be adding 1 to it, and then applying to W pointer successive, and that W pointer successive is being applied to W pointer next. I will advise that there's a no need of this middle register. You can directly assign that to W next. Okay, W pointer next. You can directly put this whole equation here. W pointer range plus 1 here. Okay, W pointer range plus 1 is equal to W pointer next. Okay, like this. There's no need to use W pointer successive and read pointer successive. This is redundant. Okay.
ठीक है sir.
Okay, so you are requested to go through this example, and also testing circuit. Also, some testing circuit is available. Also check this testing circuit of this memory. Okay, and go through this circuit, and also go through this. Go through this stopwatch design. Do you have a boards?
No, sir.
No sir, वो वापस कर दिए थे.
अच्छा, चलो ठीक है. तो अब ऐसा करें, इसको स्टॉप वॉच को भी प्रोग्राम को देखें. इससे पहले एक प्रोग्राम था वो हमने कर लिया था, टाइम मल्टीप्लेक्सिंग वाला. ठीक है, आप सिर्फ स्टॉप वॉच को देखें और इस फीफो को देखें, और इस फीफो के बाद इसके बाद आप आ जाएं एफएसएम पे. एफएसएम पे हमने ये 2 एग्जांपल कर लिए, और इसमें एक एग्जांपल, सिर्फ ये एग्जांपल है डी बाउंसिंग सर्किट का, ये आप देख लीजिएगा. ठीक है, आप चाहें तो ये एग्जांपल फॉलो करें, आप चाहें तो इंटरनेट से अगर अच्छा एग्जांपल मिल जाता है तो आप वह फॉलो कर सकते हैं. कोशिश करें कि बुक का एग्जांपल फॉलो करें, इसका टेस्टिंग सर्किट भी मौजूद है. ठीक है. Okay, so this is all about the class. सो नेक्स्ट क्लास में हम डी बाउंसिंग सर्किट करेंगे इंशाल्लाह, और एक और टेस्ट बेंच, एक और फाइनाइट स्टेट मशीन करेंगे। ओके, मीनवाइल आप इसको देख के आइएगा डी बाउंसिंग सर्किट को, और दूसरे जो प्रीवियस एग्जांपल्स मैंने बताए उसको देख के आइएगा। ठीक है, ओके। अब हम बात करते हैं कि maybe we are left with 6 more weeks, maybe 5 more weeks, maybe 7 more weeks. Okay, and there's also lockdown, so you are not physically available here. Okay.